McLaren's Oscar Piastri surges to dominant victory at Bahrain F1 GP. Oscar Piastri delivered a truly consummate victory at the Bahrain Grand Prix, a performance his race engineer succinctly described as flawless. Calm, controlled, and utterly composed from start to finish, the Australian demonstrated the kind of driving typically associated with the season champion, firmly staking his claim as a serious contender for the title this season. Tom Stallard, Piastri's race engineer and a silver medalist rower for Great Britain at the 2008 Olympics, found his usual duty significantly reduced throughout the race. Such was the unflappable nature of Piastri's drive. The young Australian piloted his McLaren from pole position all the way to the checkered flag with apparent ease, securing the team's first-ever victory at the challenging Sakir circuit. While Piastri enjoyed a serene afternoon at the front, his teammate Lando Norris was left searching for answers after a far more challenging outing in Bahrain. Piastri crossed the finish line a remarkable 15.5 seconds ahead of George Russell in the Mercedes, who himself was embroiled in a thrilling fight for second place with Norris right up to the very end. The McLaren and Piastri were in a class of their own at the front, but behind this dominant display, the rest of the field engaged in a captivating, often enthralling battle that ebbed and flowed with numerous overtakes and strategic gambles. This scrap was significantly enlivened by a magnificent drive from Russell and a determined, feisty comeback from Norris. For Norris, it was a roller coaster of a day that began with issues even before the starting lights went out, but he ultimately managed to cling on to valuable championship points, which was arguably the least he needed given the circumstances. Russell's drive to second place would have felt relatable to anyone who has acquired a second-hand car seemingly in good order, only to discover a multitude of hidden problems soon after driving off. In the final third of the race, he was desperately clinging on to second place, having been given soft tires by his team with the ambitious task of making them last to the finish, a decision he candidly described as audacious. This strategic gamble was already a significant challenge, but the situation was compounded by his car slowly but surely beginning to fail. First, he encountered a DRS issue, which was swiftly followed by warnings that his dashboard display might fail, which it promptly did. With remarkable nonchalance, he quipped, "As long as the steering wheel doesn't fall off," even as the car's transponder also ceased functioning. The mechanical woes escalated further when he experienced a brake-by-wire failure, causing the brake pedal to behave erratically, first feeling long and then short. A deeply alarming scenario when relying on the single most critical component for a driver's safety and control. As problems mounted, Russell radioed his team, "No brakes, no steering wheel, what more do we need?" highlighting the severity of the situation. The Mercedes was clearly struggling, and at one point, the DRS unexpectedly opened when he pressed a button not associated with its function, much to his surprise. He quickly closed it and backed off to ensure he didn't gain an unfair advantage by the DRS opening when not within the designated activation zone behind Piastri. This incident led to an investigation after the race, but he was rightfully exonerated as no advantage was gained. By the closing laps, Russell had Norris clambering all over his gearbox as the beleaguered Mercedes, beset by multiple issues, creaked its way towards the finish line. Despite the adversity, Russell held it together admirably under immense pressure and just managed to fend off Norris' determined assault to secure second place. Lando Norris, in turn, delivered a fine recovery drive to even be in a position to challenge for second. A disappointing qualifying session meant he started the race from sixth on the grid. Adding to his woes, as he lined up for the start, one wheel edged fractionally outside the limits of his designated grid box. This constituted an inarguable false start, for which he was swiftly handed a 5-second penalty. This came after he had made a superb, bravura start, climbing up to third place in the opening laps. After taking his penalty, he found himself embroiled in a fierce, back-and-forth battle with Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, who ultimately finished fourth. This intense fight with Leclerc and subsequently his teammate Lewis Hamilton, who finished one place behind Leclerc in fifth, lasted for the second half of the race. Norris eventually made a decisive pass on Hamilton to secure fourth place and then set off rapidly in pursuit of Russell. All this drama unfolding behind him provided a stark contrast to the serene, almost unnoticed performance of Piastri at the front. Piastri's biggest inconvenience throughout the race appeared to be a malfunctioning drinks bottle and managing a safety car restart, which he handled thirstily but with impressive aplomb before once again pulling away from the field. For Norris, the third-place finish was an exercise in damage limitation, salvaging valuable points from a difficult weekend. However, he is acutely aware that weekends like this are not the foundation upon which championship campaigns are built. His current struggle to find a complete connection with the car stands in stark contrast to the apparent ease and comfort his teammate is currently enjoying. Indeed, the championship title fight is now well and truly alive, and Oscar Piastri is positioned right at the very sharp end. Based on the exceptional form he has demonstrated thus far this season, he might now legitimately be considered a championship favorite. But for a costly spin in wet conditions during the earlier race in Australia, he would almost certainly be leading the title standings at this point. He has consistently shown much better form in qualifying sessions compared to Norris and has demonstrated that when he has clear air at the front, he possesses all the hallmarks of a future champion. There is something reminiscent of the legendary Alain Prost in the smooth ease and precise execution of his perfectly timed laps, earning him the moniker of the Aussie Professor. The result of the Bahrain Grand Prix leaves the World Championship finely poised. Lando Norris currently leads the standings, but by a mere 3 points over Oscar Piastri. Max Verstappen, who had a frustrating weekend toiling in a Red Bull car with which the reigning world champion was once again visibly dissatisfied, finished only 6th and now sits 3rd in the championship, 5 points adrift of Piastri. Flawless at the front, McLaren have clearly established themselves with the upper hand and, without doubt, possess a championship-winning car this season. Piastri and Norris arguably have the best seats in the house, but it is currently the Australian who appears the most comfortable and in tune with the machinery. Further down the order, Pierre Gasly finished 7th for Alpine, Esteban Ocon and Oliver Bearman secured 8th and 10th places respectively for Haas, while Yuki Tsunoda claimed 9th position for Red Bull.